All right, let's head right into it, guys. Jumping into the highlights, we are in a very persistent pattern right now, and what we've been seeing over the last couple of days is what we're going to see over the next few days with afternoon, evening thunderstorms, basically through the weekend into the early part of next week. We've already had, storms have already started to pop up this afternoon. I believe we just issued one severe thunderstorm warning down in Emmanuel County. So more of the same, and the coverage is expected to increase over the next few days. We're not expecting any widespread severe weather, but we can expect a few strong to severe storms popping up each afternoon and evening through the weekend. So that's sort of the main message that we want to drive home to everybody, that the potential is going to exist for localized damaging winds with trees, primarily trees and power lines down, maybe some minor structural damage, but generally in that 50 to 70 mile per hour wind range for the most severe storms that we could see over the next few afternoons. Of course, the lightning, the localized flooding, because some of these storms are slow movers, so they're going to drop a lot of rain in a short period of time, so we can certainly see that flood threat raised, but it's going to be pretty isolated, so we're not expecting any flash flood watch or flood watch to be issued over the next few days, but we'll keep an eye on that. And then we can certainly see a few storms generate some hail up to about 1 inch. I know yesterday afternoon there was a storm up in Floyd County that had quarter-size hail. So we'll be continuing to watch all these threats over the next few days. The map to the left, we've basically got that yellow dashed line is basically a long wave trough of low pressure extending from like the Ohio Valley all the way down to the Gulf of Mexico. We got an area of disturbed weather east of the Florida coast on the east coast there. And then it's a very persistent upper level high pressure over the panhandle of Texas and Oklahoma that's sort of, that's not really moving anywhere. And that's going to kind of keep the pattern from really changing very much over our area over the next few days. All right, let's push forward. Real quickly, just wanted to reinforce the persistent pattern. We have the temperatures, this is basically over the next 6-7 days. We got in Atlanta, the high temperatures are in the middle there. We got records, the top line. The average temperature, average high is the dashed line, and the average low is the dashed line over the next 6 to 7 days. You can see where we're at is primarily just in that right around normal. Nothing too extreme on either side. We're not expecting any records to be broken on either end over the next few days, just your typical early August temperatures. Now, some days might be a little bit cooler than others, but it's still going to be pretty humid because of all the moisture that exists out there and the afternoon showers and thunderstorms that we're expecting. Got the same kind of graphic for Athens, Columbus, which might be a few degrees warmer than Atlanta and Athens. And then the last slide is for Macon. So these will be, these are out there. We just wanted to kind of hit for the sites. Of course, generally speaking, the farther south and middle Georgia might be just a little bit warmer compared to extreme north Georgia and the higher elevations in the mountains over the next few days. But generally speaking, just reinforcing that persistent pattern of temperatures being right around where we should be for the first part of August. All right, rainfall. Now this, again, please take this graphic with a grain of salt, because this time of year when we're talking about afternoon and evening pop-up storms, it's really challenging to predict how much rain you're going to get out of one storm. One storm may dump 2 to 3 inches of rain in a short period of time. But generally speaking, looking at this map over the next 7 days, just about everybody's going to see some sort of rainfall. There's certainly going to be pockets of higher rainfall than what we're actually showing here. But we wanted to just kind of give you an idea of what we're expecting over the next few days. Most areas are probably going to see anywhere from about 3/4 of an inch upwards of 2 inches. Some areas are going to see more, some areas are going to see less. But the main message here is that we are going to be fairly active and wet over the next few days. Nothing really significantly organized, but definitely that daytime, afternoon, evening shower and thunderstorm activity persisting today, tomorrow, and through the weekend, and even into early next week. All right, a lot of you are probably interested in the tropics, especially as we head into the month of August. we are continuing to ramp up like toward the peak of the tropical weather season, which is the second week of September. There's two areas of disturbed weather. One we kind of talked about off the coast of Florida. That's going to be sort of gradually pushing north along the east coast of Florida. It's not expected to really develop into anything. The National Hurricane Center has a 10% chance of it really forming into anything over the next 5 days. If anything, it's just going to keep sort of that area of disturbed weather that might impact our region over the next few days. But as far as any like significant tropical impacts out of this, we're not expecting any. The other area of disturbed weather is way out in the Atlantic, and that is expected to move. That disturbance is expected to move to the west-northwest over the next few days. Now, the Hurricane Center has a 70% chance of it actually forming into a tropical, whether it's a tropical depression or a storm in the next 5 days. So that's something we're definitely going to have to watch. It's way too early to tell exactly where this thing is going to move beyond 5 days, but it's definitely something to watch. Typically this time of year, if it continues to sort of ride around the upper level high pressure over Bermuda, then it should stay, off the coast. But again, it's way too early to determine whether or not it's going to ride the ridge or move into the Gulf of Mexico. Just something to watch, and we'll certainly keep everybody up to date if it looks like we need to focus a little bit more attention on it as we move into the first part of next week. Okay, drought, not a major issue, especially over the next few days. We continue to see more widespread shower and thunderstorm activity. We got a couple of pockets of D0 to D1, but overall, no major concerns with respect to drought, and we expect this to continue into next week. You can see last week's drought monitor was very similar to what was just released the other day on the left side for this week. So really not a whole lot of change. We're not expecting any conditions to get worse over the next 5 to 10 days. Looking ahead, beyond the early to middle part of next week, we do see there's a chance that we could see a slight reprieve from the wet active weather, so that the Climate Prediction Center, that area of beige or brown that's shaded over the state, is actually about a 33 to 40% chance of seeing below normal precip beyond the middle of next week. So basically from about August 6th through the 10th, we're focusing on potentially a little bit drier conditions than what we've been seeing over the last couple of days and what we're expected to see over the next 3 to 4 days. So anyway, just wanted to kind of show that. And so if we can get through the next 3 or 4 days of, a little bit more active weather, then things may quiet down just enough where by the middle of next week, we should be relatively quiet. But things can certainly change between now and then. So certainly stay tuned to, what we're looking at and what we're forecasting. So that's about it, guys. Just to summarize, persistent pattern. So we're not, very little change is expected to the pattern over the next few days. And what that's going to result in is just scattered and numerous afternoon, evening thunderstorms, basically through the weekend and into the first part of next week. As we have seen over the last few days, and we're already seeing this afternoon, a few of these storms could be strong to severe. Primary threats are going to be strong, damaging winds. Certainly can see the lightning, the localized flash flood threat, and a few storms could even have some hail with it. So just keep an eye on that. Not everybody's going to see the severe storms, but generally speaking, we're going to see locally heavy rainfall, some gusty winds, and cloud to ground lightning. Not expecting any widespread significant impacts given the pattern over the next few days. But again, we'll just have to monitor those afternoon and evening storms each afternoon or each day. So with that, that wraps up our briefing for today. We got some contact information there. I'll open it up to questions if anybody has them, either on the